So, as all of you know, being a perennial plant, coffee is affected by many insect pests. So, perennial plant means throughout the year, the foods are available for the pest. So, if you see the insect associated with coffee, there are nearly more than 100 insects are associated. In that, some are pest. Among the pest, some three are importantly causing severe economic damage to coffee. So if you see the coffee plant, all the parts like coffee leaf, coffee stem, coffee fruits, even coffee roots are subjected to attack by one or the other kind of insect pest. So in these presentations, we are going to see about what are the pests which is coming after the monsoon and how best we can control the pests. So as you all know, when you talk about the pests of coffee, the first thing comes into the mind is coffee white stem borer. It's the most serious and economic pest of Arabica coffee. So since this presentation is targeted on the management measures, I may not tell much details about the biology and other things. So to give a brief introduction, this white stem borer is a light loving pest. So wherever the shades are less, you can see the increased incidence of this pest. And not like other pests, you can't see the adult beetles throughout the year. You can see only in the field in two conditions, that is we used to call as flight periods. One in April and May, and the second flight period is October to December. So these are the some basic information about coffee white stem borer. So before going into the management of any pest, you should know the infestation or the symptoms of particular pest. So in case of coffee white stem borer, the symptoms, once the plants are infested with coffee white stem borer, you can observe the symptoms like the infested plants appear weak and wilting, like then followed by yellowing of leaves. Then in later stages, you can find ridges on the main stems, or in some cases, even you can observe on the thick primaries also. So these are the symptoms indicates that the particular plant is infested with coffee white stem borer. These are the external symptoms when you see in the inside of the plant. So generally the white stem borer lay the eggs on the box. So once the eggs are hatched into larva, the neonate larva initially feeds on the peripheral region of the coffee pod. So once the mandibles get stronger, you can expect that after a month it can reach inside the stems and cause damage by making tunnels inside the coffee plant. By the feeding of this larva, you can see the protrusion ridges on the plant. Okay, these are the infested plant symptoms. So if you are not knowing how to identify the infested plants, these symptoms will help you. So,
Dr. Rupa, the
yes,
slideshow is, you could use slideshow. You're still in the first slide.
Yes,
I don't know. Okay, thank you.
Is it visible now, sir?
Yeah, now it's coming in full screen. Thank you so much.
Okay, these are the symptoms which will help you to find out the particular plant is infested or not. So once you wanted to go for tracing, so that's one of the important management measures we are recommended for the management of coffee white stem borer. These symptoms will help you to find out the infested plants efficiently. So coming to the management measures, some of the strategies we need to follow for managing this coffee white stem borer effectively. What it is. So one is prevention. So in all the pests, not only on coffee white stem borer, in all the pests, we need to follow some preventive measures which will help to minimize the pest load in your area. In case of coffee, we need to make the coffee plants unsuitable for egg laying. So if you follow these two operations, you can reduce somewhat the incidence level in our estates. Why? Because means once this larva enter inside the coffee plant, it is very difficult to manage this threaded pest. So we need to follow, or we need to give more care to prevent the infestations. So how we can prevent the infestations in coffee? So first is to reduce the activity of flight, or we need to provide a microclimate which will not favors the activity of coffee white stem borer, like maintenance of two-tier shade. As you all know, shade is an important operations in terms of coffee pest management, especially on white stem borer management. We need to maintain a recommended two-tier shade. This will allow, or this will not allow the insect to breed easily, because it is as I mentioned in the earlier slide, it is a light loving pest. So whenever you are maintaining a good shade, this will provide, or this will not provide ideal conditions for even spreading of the infestation. So then next is to minimize the load of infestations. How? As I mentioned earlier, we need to go for uprooting the infested plants now and then. So Coffee Board has set of recommendations that will I deal in the upcoming slides. So second is to reduce the infestation by removing the infested plants, and third is to attract the adults which is present in the outside of coffee plants by using a trapping technology. So these are some of the, we can change the microclimatic conditions by which we can reduce the pest load. Then this next step is how best we can provide or create a conditions which is unsuitable for egg laying. So one is smoothing or removing of the bark. So by making the bark smooth, you can reduce the egg laying, or you can avoid the egg laying. And second is we are recommending 10% lime application. I will explain in the upcoming slides in detail. So as I mentioned, in the first step is shade. Shade is a very important aspect in terms of white stem borer management. So nowadays what happened, because of some other reasons, planters are going with mono shades. So if you are going with mono shades, you need to very care about the other management measures, because keeping a good shade will give you a chance to less infestations of white stem borer. So if you wanted to go with mono shade, you make sure you should not skip any other control measures for coffee white stem borer. So if you want to maintain your estates less infested with white stem borer, first step you need to follow is keeping a good shade recommended by Coffee Board. Then let's divide the management measures in two parts. One is on infested plants, another one is for healthy plants. Let's imagine you are having infested plants. So first you need to do is tracing operations. Tracing is nothing but identification of infested plants. Then you are going to take some decisions on the infested plants. First, for tracing, as I mentioned in the earlier slides, based on the symptoms, you need to identify the infested plants before the commencement of flight period. Why? Because if you are doing tracing after flight period, there is no use. So in the tracing operation should be completed before the commencement of flight period, that is April and October. So it should be completed before the commencement of April and October. So while tracing, if you found some of the plants are infested, don't uproot immediately. You can go for collar prune. Collar prune is nothing but cutting the plants after from the bottom 9 inches. So you can observe for the infestations. If the infestations reach inside the root zones, then you have no other options. You have to uproot the entire plants. If you find the infestations of coffee white stem borer not up to the root zones, then you can allow the suckers from the collar prune part. Then you can save 2 years, because if you wanted to replant a particular plant in that area, so it will come up after 3-4 years. So by this you can avoid 2 years in your yield. So after collar pruning, you can carry out the recommended operations to maintain the collar prune plants. So this is very important aspects. So after collar prune or after tracing, we observed in some of the estates that the uprooted plants are kept as such in the field. Then there is a no, we can say no effect if you are doing tracing also or uprooting also. So after uprooting, immediately it should be destroyed by burning, or if you wanted to use these stems for other purpose, it should be immersed in water for around 15 days. This will kill the larvae or whichever the stages inside the stems, and further you can use it for other purposes. So tracing should be completed before the commencement of flight period. Immediately after tracing, uprooting, immediately after uprooting, you have to destroy the uprooted plants. So let us imagine, instead of uprooting, is there any other options? So of late, especially the small growers are not uprooting the infested plants, especially during the winter flight period, because it's having some crop to harvest. So of late, we face some of the price issues, and because of less number of coffee plants, especially small growers are reluctant to uproot the infested plants. So they will think that after harvesting these fruits, we can go for uprooting. So this tend to increase the infestation level in your field. So we CCRI found some of the experiments which can allow the planters to keep the infested plants up to harvest. Then you can take a decisions whether go for uprooting or you can keep it in the field. So for that, we mainly aim to kill the infested stages inside the coffee plant. For that, we tried stem injections or root feeding studies. Sealer cum healer, it's a product provided by IHR. Then we also tried stem wrapping methods. So among all these things, we found effective control or effective killing of the stages which is present inside the infested plants only in non-woven fabric. Let me tell you how it will work. So in non-woven fabric, while tracing, if you found any plants are less infested or infested with some crops to harvest, so you wanted to harvest the fruits as well as you wanted to avoid the adults to emerge from the infested plants. So for this, we conducted trials with non-woven fabric. It's a cloth-like material, so it will readily available in the market. You have to wrap the non-woven fabric on the doubted plants or the less infested plants, then followed by an insecticide spray. So if you do this, you can make sure you can kill the emerging adults as well as you can harvest the particular year crop. This will give you ample time to harvest as well as it will reduce the inoculums. And this technology is widely accepted by the planters, and now it is getting popularity among the coffee growers, as we also seeing the recovery of infested plants. If you are finding out the less infested plants in the initial stage, after wrapping this, we are seeing that recovery of infested plants. So this technology is getting popularity, and if you want further information on this, you can free to contact us. And now we saw, so far we have targeted on the infested plants. Now let's move to the healthy plants. So healthy plants, what are the operations we need to follow? As I mentioned earlier, we need to give more concentration to preventing the egg laying. So how this bar scrubbing will give you a solution to avoid egg laying. So once you started this bar scrubbing by using a coir glove, this will make the coffee plant as smooth. This coffee white stumper having the tendency to lay the eggs on the crevices and cracks. Wherever the cracks or crevices are there, it will insert the ovipositor and lay the eggs. So by doing this bar scrubbing, we remove all the barks of the coffee plant, by which we can make the coffee plants like a smooth structure. So the white stem borer will not able to lay the eggs on the smooth surface. So here we need to concentrate on the time of operations. As I mentioned, this should be target, or this could be completed before the commencement of flight period. That means we should complete these operations at the end of March or at the end of September. So what is the advantage of this method? This is eco-friendly. It will not involve any chemicals, and it will prevent the egg laying, and it will protect the healthy plants in the longer run. That means once you are doing bar scrubbing for a particular area, you need not to bother about other management operations for white stem borer for the particular plant. So bar scrubbing alone will carry or will able to maintain the coffee plants without infestation of coffee white stem borer. And little conscious should be taken care. because you should not go for deep bar scrubbing that may damage the coffee plants and it will lead to the secondary fungal infection. So for doing bar scrubbing, don't use any sharp equipments. You better to use Gaia gloves, or you can use coconut husk. So these are bar scrubbing. I know though it is a labor intensive programs, but when you are thinking in the longer run, these operations will help you to prevent the egg laying of coffee white stone borer at least for 4 seasons. So once you are doing bar scrubbing in this year, it will give you ample production from white stone borer for next 2 years. So if you calculate the total amount and incurred for the management of white stone borer in some other plant and bar scrub plant, it will almost equal. So you can 100% make sure bar scrubbed plants are not infected with white stone borer unless your bar scrubbing are 100% true. Then followed by bar scrubbing, we have another strategy called lime applications. Here also our main aim to avoid the egg laying by making or by coating the lime on the coffee plants. This lime will make a layer on the coffee plants and it will conceal the gaps or crevices wherever present in the coffee bark. So by applying this 10% lime also you are avoiding the insect egg laying, or in other way this lime will not allow the insects to lay the eggs, white stone borer to lay the eggs. As I mentioned earlier, coffee white stone borer needs gaps or crevices to lay the eggs. So this lime is also equally good as bar scrubbing, or some planters are following that bar scrubbing followed by lime applications. Because when you are doing bar scrubbing, if you are not make 100% sure that I have removed all the barks. So in that cases, especially in the most vulnerable areas where the coffee plantations are in open conditions. So in that kind of areas, you can go with bar scrubbing followed by lime applications. This will provide, or this will protect the coffee plants from the egg laying of coffee white stone borer. So coming to the next operations, so insecticide applications. Most planters are following this insecticide application because of its easy application technology. So far we are recommending chlorifirifos, and later we changed our recommendation to chlorifirifos plus cypermethrin. It's having some ample control against coffee white stone borer. Only thing is you have to clear in your mind what insecticide we need to spray, when to spray, where to spray. So of late, this chlorifirifos is mentioned in the draft letter announced by the government of India on ban. So we started to find out the alternate chemicals for chlorifirifos. So in the search, we found a chemical called fenzoate and fipronil. You can spray these both chemicals instead of chlorifirifos if it is banned. So far it is not banned, but once if it is banned also, in need to worry. So we have find out the alternative chemicals. So fenzoate at the rate of 400 ml and fipronil at the rate of 400 ml. So this can provide on par effective. These are the on par effective molecules. We can use it for management of coffee white stone borer. So when to spray? So I told the flight period starts in the month of April and October. So if you wanted to spray this insecticide, you have to target on the mid of April or the mid of October, where the adults of coffee white stone borer is in the outside of the coffee plants. So you imagine if insect comes in the first week of April and lay the eggs on coffee plants, if you do insecticide spray, this insecticide will take care of already laid eggs, as well as it will prevent the further egg laying for another 30 days. So the time of insecticide spray is very important in case of white stone borer management. Then where to spray? So this white stone borer is lay eggs on the stems and thick primaries only. So you need not to cover the entire plant with the insecticides. We need to target on the main stem and thick primaries. So instead of spraying, you can also go for swabbing. Swabbing is a good technique, swabbing of insecticides, because it will give such result when you are spraying also. In addition to that, while scrubbing, while swabbing, you are making the coffee plants to smooth somewhat. So that will also help you to avoid the egg laying. So always swabbing is better than spraying, though it is labor intensive. So after spraying, the another important method during the flight period is placing the pheromone traps. The pheromone traps is the pheromone from coffee white stem borer identified by coffee board, and it is commercially available in all the coffee board offices. So you have to keep 10 traps per acre. So these 10 traps will attract the females. The pheromone what we are used here is a male pheromone. That means we have a communication to communicate some things to others. No, the insect will communicate with some kind of chemicals. So we identified the particular chemical which is released by the male, and it will attract the female to sex. So if you keep the male pheromones in the field, it will mimic like a male, and the smell comes out from the pheromone trap will attract the females, by which we can reduce the female populations in the field. So you may compare with other traps. Other traps may have some increased number of infestation, but in case of white stem borer, you may not get in 50s, 100s. But if you are getting in 5, 6 per trap, it is equally good to the other traps, because the white stem borer as such is a low volume pest in the field. So if you are getting 3 insects per trap, you are attracting 30 insects from an acre. So if you are controlling 30, if you are attracting 30 white stem borer beetles from an acre, you can save 300 plants, because this white stem borer will lay 100 eggs in 10 different plants, 5 to 10 different plants. So if you can able to manage one, if you able to attract one beetle, you can imagine you can save 5 plants. So this technology is not popularized among the coffee planters. I don't know why, but we need to create awareness for this technology, and people should come forward to use this technology. So there is a lot of debate in the of late days that whether we can mix the insecticides and fungicide together. So we have conducted some kind of experiments to check the compatibility of insecticide and fungicides, especially the chlorpyrifos with hexaconazole, which are the 2 molecules recommended for the management of white stem borer and leaf rust. Okay, so it's compatible and you can spray, provided the incidence of white stem borer and leaf rust should be there in the field. If you are seeing only the infestation of white stem borer and there is no leaf rust, you should not need to go for the cocktail spray. So for example, the leaf rust spray is for leaf rust, the spraying of hexaconazole is recommended for the month of September. So if some chance the rain is extended or the monsoon is extended up to the end of September, you are not able to apply the fungicides. In that case, you can mix the fungicides with chlorpyrifos. Then you can target for both insect and fungus. So it can be mixed together and you can spray. So apart from these, we also looking for some of the tolerant materials. There is a long demand from the planter side is the tolerant materials for coffee white stem borer. Here I would like to mention that as the coffee is introduced crop from the other countries, the source material for the tolerance is very less. So during the course of our screening studies and along with the plant breeding divisions, we found a material called 4595, which showed tolerance against coffee white stem borer. That means the incidence levels were very less in particular variety. So we further validated the tolerance level of particular variety against coffee white stem borer by using a systematic bioassay studies. And in the process, we observed that 90% of the insects which is laid the eggs are died after initial feeding. So there is something is there in the plant which lead to mortality of insects. So in the further course, we in collaboration with the Jain Irrigations, tissue culture technology was employed using F1 hybrids, and 30,000 plants of tissue culture has been transferred to field trials. And before that also we have provided the seed material of this 459 to 58 coffee growers where the white stem borer problems are very prominent. So we wanted to just check the variety against the white stem borer in the field where the white stem borer problem is more. So we are hoping that we can come out with some of good variety which can provide a tolerance against coffee white stem borer. So these are all about coffee white stem borer. The recommended management measures are there for each and every stage of infestations. So planters need to take the management measures based on their infestation level, not based on their convenience. So I'm giving attention to all the planters that you should take care of your estates and by doing the operations which will prevent the infestations more than aftercare. So with this, I move to the next pest called coffee berry borer. You know, this is a pest of both Arabica and Robusta. So when you, if you talk about the symptoms of coffee berry borer, you find a circular hole on the tip of coffee berry. Then sometimes you also see a powdery substance in the tip of the coffee berry by the feeding of coffee berries. So here you can see the different stages of infestation. First, the coffee berries which comes which goes to the tip of the coffee berries, then it will start to make a small hole. By the process, it will project or it will excavate the coffee powder to the outside. Then once the coffee beans harden, then it will enter inside. So it will not enter immediately after the initial infestations. It will wait in the navel regions for some time until the beans are hardened inside. Once the beans are hardened inside, it will enter inside and started to feed. So the damage will caused by the coffee berry borer leads to rotting of beans when the infestation is in earlier stage, and it will lead to the premature fruit drop. In general, the one side of the bean or the one bean of coffee roots is damaged. So if you are not doing any control measures, the severe infestation of coffee berry borer leads to 38% of your croppers. So coffee berry borer is also equally important pest because it will directly impact your crop. So we need to follow some of the control measures which is recommended by the coffee board. You all know well aware about the recommendations of coffee berry borer. So to refresh your mind, I would like to tell some of the control measures which is recommended by the coffee board in a nutshell. So not like coffee white stem borer, coffee berry borer management is very easy. Unless if you are using some of the preventive measures or the phytosanitary measures. So the first and foremost thing is timely and complete harvest using picking mats, especially in Robusta plants. So if you are using the picking mats, you can avoid the droppings, or you can avoid the collection of gleanings. Though if you are not using picking mats, it is very hard to collect the gleanings after the harvest. You can't harvest the fruits without falling. So using the picking mats will help you to take the fallen fruits. Then remove, if you are not following this, or in case of Arabica, it is very tough to use picking mats because the space between the plants are very less. So in such cases, after harvesting, you should go for one round of gleaning collections or the leftovers. In sometimes what happens while harvesting nowadays, we are giving outsiders for harvesting. We don't have enough laborers, so we are giving it for contract basis. The workers comes for harvesting the fruits, will not bother about the leftovers or gleanings. So this will act as an inoculum for your next year crop. So this collection of gleanings and leftovers is a very important control measures in terms of berry borer management. So then after harvest, if you are found some lots are having infestations, so that's need to be treated with boiling water. So I will come to the next aspects of coffee berry borer management. So far I have explained about the preventives. So if I am having the infestations in my field now, what should I do? So the first option is install brachytraps. So when it is about to harvest, you need to go for installing these brachytraps. Most of the coffee growers are using this technology. So these brachytraps will act as an attractant for coffee berry borer, and it will attract the coffee berry borer which is emerging from the coffee fruits. So the best time to keep the brachytraps in the field is once you are started to harvest. So when the food is there in the field, the attraction levels are very less. So once you started to harvest, the food for coffee berry borer will be reduced in the field. So that the time, if you are keeping these brachytraps, you can see thousands of beetles attracted to the traps. So after harvest also, you can, if you found some of the lots with infested plants, you can heap it separately and put a plastic mats smeared with oil. So this provide this generate heat in the particular lot and allow the coffee berry borer to emerge from the infested fruits. And once it is emerged, it will attach to it, or it will attract it towards the oil smear, and it will get killed. So apart from this, we also recommend the insecticide spray in the early stage of infestations, not on the later stage, because the insecticides what we are recommending for the management of berry borer is chlorpyrifos earlier. So now you can also spray the fipronil or the fenthoate in case of chlorpyrifos is banned. So here the timing of insecticide spray is very important. Here you can see the insects can be visible from outside. That's the right time to spray the insecticides. Once the beetles enter inside the bean, if you spray insecticides also, there will be not enough killing of berry borer. So once the beetles are at the navel region, is the right time to spray the insecticide. So in general, it will be there in 120 to 150 days after the blossom. That means August and September for Arabica, and September and October for Robusta. That's the approximate time what we are recommending to the planters. But you should, it may be vary from estate to estate based on the climatic conditions or the blossom shows. So you need to keep on observing the infestations level in your field and spray the insecticide at the recommended dosage on when the beetles are at the navel regions. So apart from these insecticides, we also have a biocontrol strategy called Beauveria bassiana. It's a fungus. This can also be sprayed for the management of coffee berry borer, and this also be recommended at the initial stage. So wherever the temperatures are low, this Beauveria bassiana have the higher efficacy once the favorable environmental conditions are there. So the planters, Robusta planters from Kerala and Tamil Nadu, even the Arabica planters of Tamil Nadu are using this Beauveria bassiana as extensively for the management of coffee one stem borer, and they are very happy with the efficacy of this Beauveria bassiana. The only thing is we need to spray this on the right time when the beetles are at the navel regions. So the advantage of this Beauveria bassiana over chemical spray is, so I told that the efficacy of insecticide is not there when the beetles enter inside the bean. In case of Beauveria bassiana, we found some efficacy of the stages which is present inside the coffee berries also. It because of cross contamination. So the Beauveria can be sprayed even if the stages enter inside the coffee beans, but the efficacy is limited. So these are about coffee berry borer. I move to the next important pest of short-owl borer. Actually, this short-owl borer is a pest of Robusta, and some occasionally we also noticed in Arabica also. Earlier, it was considered as one of the minor pests and natural borer. People are not bothered about the infestation of short-owl borer because it used to prune the unwanted pigs. But of late, what happened, the incidence levels are increasing dramatically in all the Robusta growing areas. So now there is a talk about the management of short-owl borer. So when you look at the short-tailed borer, this beetle usually infests the green and succulent branches. So in young plants, sometimes it may attack the main stems also. So the short-tailed borers infestation, if you are noticed in the field, you can see there is a small hole in the lower side of the twigs. So, but it will not feed the coffee. So you may ask how then it will survive on the coffee plants. So let me explain you. This short-tailed borer inoculate a fungus called ambrosia on the coffee plants. So a female beetles comes out from the infested twigs, and it will select a healthy succulent branch, then go and sit and make a small hole. And after entering inside, it will make a longitudinal tunnel. After making the longitudinal tunnel, it will inoculate a fungus called ambrosia. Once the ambrosia fungus are grown inside the tunnel, it lay the eggs. So the hatched larvae of the short-tailed borer will start to feed on the ambrosia fungus, not on the coffee plants. It just make a tunnel and push out the coffee material outside. So then how it will hamper or how it will harm to the coffee plants. So this tunnel process will cut the nutrient flow to the further spot. So because of that, the plant will become, the infested twigs will become dry. So you will lose the bearing branch of your next year. So these are all the symptoms of short-tailed borer. Most of the planters are well aware of the short-tailed borer symptoms. In the drooping of terminal leaves or branches with short holes indicates that the particular branch is infested with short-tailed borer. Or you can even observe the early stages of infestations, like the leaves above the infested spot will premature. So if you observe a twig without leaves or without a pair of leaves, that indicates the twig is infested with short-tailed borer. In later spots, you can observe the terminal parts of the leaves are droopy, and it will become dry and it will fall. So this severe infestation of this short-tailed borer leads to loss of vegetative or bearing wood that lead to top losses. If you see the incidence pattern, so the incidence normally starts after the monsoons, because after the monsoons you may observe the proliferant growth of coffee. It will provide the ambient conditions for the ambrosia growth. So the incidents start generally in the field after the monsoon, and the peak can be reached at November to December. That's a time the incidence of short-tailed borer is more in the states. So coming to the control measures. So once you are noticed your infestations in the field, what are the things we need to do? First is, as I mentioned, for the other pest, shade is important, because this pest is directly having a positive correlation with temperatures and rainfall. So you have to maintain your shade. Then when you notice some of the infestations in your field, you need to prune the affected twigs and burn it immediately, because not like other pests, the infestation will not come into the entire estate at a stretch. So it will start in one part, then slowly it will spread from one part to other part. So once you notice in some of the infestations in your area, it should be removed immediately to prevent the further infestations. If you are doing that, you can greatly reduce the infestation level in your estates. Then I told the incidence level starts after monsoons. Then how it will survive in the other times. So if you observe the suckers available in your estates, suckers are infested with during the non-seasons or non-favorable seasons, the infests tend to be in the suckers. So removal of suckers will also helps in minimizing the inoculum of this pest. So these are all some of the management measures which will reduce the short-tailed borer, which will help in reducing the short-tailed borer infestations in your estates. So if I've not done any control measures or preventive measures, I have already noticed severe infestation of short-tailed borer, then what should I know? I do means you can go for one round of spray. Especially this is recommended for young plants because in mature plants spraying is not easy. So we are recommending for a spray of propiconazole along with chlorpyrifos. So this will provide ample protection from short-tailed borer. So if you found some of the infestations, especially in young plants, you have to spray. This spray will kill the already present insect as well as it will give protection from the new infestation also. So this insecticide spray should be targeted on the young plants, because once the young plants are infested, you will lose your shape of the plants. So much care should be given to the young plants in terms of short-tailed borer infestations. So apart from this short-tailed borer, we are also facing nowadays the incidence of root grubs. So this root grub infestations also gaining importance in the planter species, especially on the new planting areas. So normally Coffee Board is recommending 5 gram of 4-8 or 250 gram of neem cake while planting, because these root grubs will attack your roots. So to prevent this root grub infestation while planting the new plants, we need to incorporate 5 grams of 4-8, that is Timot, or you can add 250 grams of neem cake while planting. Of late, what we are observing from the field is this application of insecticide while planting may not be enough for the long term. So we also observed some of the infestations in the 4-8 or neem cake applied plants also. So further we have did some of the experiments with insecticides, and if you found infestation of root grubs after planting, you have to go for an insecticide drenching like chlorpyrifos or bifenthrin or carbosulfan. If you are drenching these insecticides on the base of coffee plant, it will prevent the root grub infestations to your young plants. Of late, this infestation of root grubs are coming as a major things. So planters can take care of plants by drenching the coffee plants with the set insecticides. So these are all the pests which is normally comes after the monsoon. So I hope I have covered all the management measures for the 4 pests. So now the floor is open for discussions. If you want to any clarification, you can ask.